Good morning, and today you're listening to Just the Black Lives Matter. Today I wanted to talk about Harriet Tubman, how she was a good woman, how she freed slaves. Is I'm going it's an interview about her on YouTube. I'm going to show y'all. It's going to talk about how she got the name of Harriet Tubman. It's going to talk about how she had her vision. It's going to talk about how she was married. It's going to talk about everything that she did in her past. So here here it goes.
I'm the Director of Oral History with the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. And today I'm excited to have with me Harriet Tubman. How are you, Harriet?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Mr. Depew, for having me today.
Well, I just heard that recently Sarah Bradford, I believe a good Quaker lady, has had an opportunity to interview you, and she just published a book in 1869 about your life.
Yes, she did.
So I'm going to cover a lot of the same territory that she covered in that interview, but thrilled that you agreed to do this with us, and thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome, kind sir, and I have the book with me.
Oh, my.
This is it. It's a very nice book.
Yeah.
I can't read it, but it's a very nice book.
Well, somebody obviously has been reading and is already pretty well worn. Wondered if you could start with where I like to start all my interviews and tell us a little bit about your background, and specifically when and where you were born.
Well, I was born in Dorchester County, Maryland, somewhere around 1820. Might have been 1821, 1822, 1823. Because you see, I was born a slave. And nobody cares about a slave having a birthday. But nevertheless, I was born in Dorchester County on Master Brodus's plantation.
What do you know about your parents?
Well, I know them very well because they still live with me, even today. We were there as a family on Master Brodus's plantation. My mama's name was Harriet Green Ross, and my papa's name was Benjamin Ross. And we lived right there in a little cabin on Master Brodus's plantation with my sisters and my brothers. We all lived there.
Do you know much about their own background, their own history?
Whose history now?
Your parents.
Oh, the only thing I remember my mama saying was that she was pure African. There was not one drop of white blood flowing through her veins or those of my papa. So I guess I'm African as well.
Okay. How much do you remember about your early childhood?
About the only thing I remember from childhood was not a very good memory, Mr. Depew. But I remember I was watching Miss Susie's baby. She had a little baby in a crib. I was supposed to watch her. Now I'm like 6 or 7 years old myself. And my job as a slave child was to watch the baby. Well, the baby's come to crying and just crying and crying. She wouldn't shut up. And I was rocking her, and I rocked her so hard, kind of tipped over the cradle, the crib there. Of course, now, Miss Susie got very angry. She beat me, told me never to come in the house no more. So that wasn't a good memory, but I thought it was kind of not too good that me, a child of 6 or 7, having to take care of a baby.
Well, I understand there was a time very early in your life also that you ran away.
Well, I didn't run away. My friend tried to run away. You see, Master Brodus, this was when I was like a teenager, 12, 13, somewhere along in there. Master Brodus had sent me and my friend, after all these years, I can't rightly recall his name, so I'll just call him Sam. Sent me and Sam into town to the general store to get some provisions, for the plantation. Flour, sugar, things like that. And come to find out, as me and Sam was walking there, Sam told me that he had an urge to be free. Now, he was telling me about his plan and what he wanted to try to do while we was in the general store. And he said, Harriet, I guess you would say, you keep the attention. And I thought that sounded like a pretty good plan to me, so I tried to do what Sam wanted me to do, and while we was in the store, I was just kind of talking to the storekeeper and trying to keep his attention on me. But he was kind of looking at Sam, because Sam was kind of just hanging around and looking kind of odd. I guess I don't know the other word to call it. And I guess the storekeeper kind of got an inkling as to what we was trying to do, so he picked up a weight. You know, the weight they put on the scale. It weighed about 3-4 pounds. Picked it up and hurled it at Sam, trying to stop him from going out the back door. Well, didn't hit Sam, hit me in the head, knocked me plumb out. Yes, it did, and I still have a scar. That's why I wear this scarf all the time, because I have a scar. Knocked me plumb out. Caused me to suffer from what my mama called the sleeping sickness, see. And I would just kind of fall asleep at the drop of a hat. After that happened to me, and from that wound, my mama nursed me and whatnot, but Master Broder said I wasn't worth a plug nickel no more. Said I wasn't even fit to be sold. So, but my mama, she nursed me back. And I got to be strong and good, but I never did, like I said before, I never did work no more in the house. I worked out in the fields with my papa.
Well, that had to be hard work. How tall are you?
Well, I don't rightly know. How tall is you?
Well, I'm taller than you. I'm about 6 foot, and I've heard that you're about 5 feet tall.
Something like that. That sounds about right. But you know, I don't.
But you had a prodigious nature of working
I had
hard.
a what?
Yeah, you could work hard in the fields, from what I heard.
Yes, sir, I could. In fact, my master, I thought it was rather unkind of him. He tied a belt, rope, not sure what you would call it, like a girdle around me. Had me pulling logs on the river, on the bay right there, on the Chesapeake, close by where we lived, you know. In the law, teach a slave how to read and write. Of course, now there are some that can, but their masters or whoever taught them, they usually get in a heap of trouble. They did at that time. That was, you know, before the war.
Did you live with your parents most of this time?
Mm-hmm. I lived with my parents, and you talking about during my growing up days.
Right.
Yes, we was one of the lucky families that, well, we didn't all get to stay together because Master Brodus on one New Year's Day sold off two of my sisters. Sold them off to the deep south. I have never seen them again in life, even to this day.
How difficult was that for your parents and for you?
It was very hard. How'd you like to have somebody that you love growed up with be sold away from you? How'd you like to be sold, period?
Did you get any religion growing up?
I'm a very religious woman even to this day. I have a strong faith in the good Lord. I have a very strong faith in the good Lord because he has kept me all these years. All these years.
Was that something your parents made sure you knew about, that they were teaching about?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we had a little preacher man on the neighboring plantation come around, and we'd have meetings and whatnot, and he'd teach us about the word. So, and my mom and my papa, they was believers. They still is believers. You know, that word and that belief and that faith, I reckon is what you can call it. It helped us get through a lot of hard, bad times. Being a slave was hard.
Of all the different things about being a slave, what do you think was the most difficult for you?
It was all difficult. In looking back at it and thinking about it, I guess the most difficult thing was not being in charge of your person. You can't be in charge of yourself. You understand what I'm trying to say? Somebody always telling you what to do, how to do it, when to do it. You can't make no choice for yourself. You don't have no, right, you don't have no control of your own body or your mind for that matter. Somebody else is always doing your thinking for you.
How about one of the more important things in life, getting married? Did you have any choice of that? Were you ever married?
Well, yes. What else you want to know? In fact, I'm on husband number 2 right now. We've just been married a short time, but I'm on husband number 2 right now. I guess you want to know what happened to husband number 1.
Yeah, I want to know about husband number 1. First of all, I understand you weren't born with the name Harriet Tubman. What was your birth name?
My slave name. My slave name was Araminta Ross. Araminta. Folks used to call me Minty for short. But you see, when I decided that I was going to be free, I took the name of Harriet to honor my mother. I took it because I was free and I could do what I wanted to. And I wanted to honor myself by calling me after my mama's name, which was Harriet. Now you asked me something else, but I forgot what it was.
Well, how'd you get Tubman?
Oh, how did I get to Tubman? Well, back in 1847, I was married to a man whose name was John Tubman. Now, John Tubman was a free man. John Tubman lived on a nearby plantation. He belonged to someone else. But over time, John Tubman had raised or saved or whatever, got enough money to buy his own freedom. Probably about $400 or so. Buy his freedom from his master. Now, John Tubman, he took a liking to me. He come courting and come calling. Of course, now, he did that with the permission of Master Brodus. And so, Master Brodus gave his permission for me and John Tubman to marry up. So in 1847, like I said, we married up in the slave way. Now, do you know what that means?
No.
If you get married up in the slave way, that means you jump the broom. Now, my mama, I told you her name was Harriet Greenross. My mama told me that jumping the broom was one of the, how would you call it? I believe she called it a tradition that come with us from Africa when they brung.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when